beautiful face. Here we are. It is Tuesday evening, my time at least, in Salzburg, Austria. And we are gathering again for a Golden Goddess Circle. This Golden Goddess Circle is another special one. I know every single one is special. This one is special because we have a beautiful guest speaker, a teacher, another sister goddess with us who's going to talk to us about hormones and female health and perimenopause and menopause and all those fun topics. So if you're just joining, I strongly suggest you taking a pen and paper so you can take notes because I'm sure we're going to learn a lot of fun new things. And before we even get busy, we do what? We ground down. So wherever you are right now, just take a moment to connect to your breath. Notice which parts of your body are touching the ground beneath you. Thank you, Nicole, for keeping an eye on the waiting room. And for this moment right now, the only thing that matters is our next breath, which we're going to take together. We're going to take that full breath in and out, connecting to the earth beneath us, our beautiful home, feeling gratitude for this special moment in time right now. And we're going to set our intention. And our intention is always to be connected to our highest good, our highest intelligence. I call that intuition. And today, I feel we get a special intention. So if you're with me on this, then you can repeat with me. My intention is to completely, permanently, and immediately be connected to my female wisdom, the power of my female body to know everything I need to know about my health, my hormones, every phase of life that I'm going through to be able to make the best of it and to be happy, healthy, and well in every way. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. So it is, so it shall be, or something even better. And then, even if I don't know how to co-create the most magical, healing, inspiring, expansive Golden Goddess Circle now, all I do know is it is so now, and I am fulfilled. I delete, delete, delete all that could stop me. I download, download, download everything I need to do so with grace, ease, joy, and love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it is, so it shall be, or something even better. And then we could take one more breath together. Ooh, let it all go and just relax. So I'm going to hand the mic to my beautiful sister goddess, Nicole, who's going to tell us how she met this beautiful lady here that I'm going to get on the screen in a moment. I've got to find her first. So Nicole, how do you know Magda?
Hello, welcome all, and I'm so happy to see a few familiar faces that are usually not in the circle. So welcome here. And Magda, yeah, I'm so excited you are here tonight. We both met 10 years ago when we both went with our families into an adventure. We decided to leave the European Western world behind us, and we left with our families to go to Bali, Indonesia, and lived on the island of the gods and the goddesses, and and we learned so much of nature, connection with nature, and beautiful remedies. And our children went to a special school called Green School. Maybe you have heard of it. And this school was not only for our children a blessing, it was also for us as parents, as mothers, a very great gift because we could connect to so many like-minded people. And yeah, I remember so well, it's called a community of learners, that we had also a lot of opportunities to share our wisdom and our knowledge. And there were these workshops where you were doing a workshop with us and I was doing a tapping and emotional balance workshop. And this workshop I was doing with you, Magda, was so great because it was called the cycling woman. And at that point, I wasn't even aware what that meant. I was like thinking, being on a bicycle. So cycling was about the moon cycle of a woman. And I remember Audrey, an elderly lady who was a mother of a young boy. She was already starting to be in her 70s, and she was with us in that circle. And it was so rich because she was sharing about all her knowledge as well. And she was so astonished, still being in that age, to know that she still has a cycle. I still remember that so well. And when yeah, we had so much we shared in this time, in these 3 years we stayed there together. And we kept on being connected. And you are now in England, I'm in Greece. And it's like it's collecting this knowledge from all over the world and meeting interesting people and really wanting to do something that is that is actually fitting to our topic. The goddess does not follow conventions. And I would say you are, for me, a great example for that, that you are always looking for new inspiration in your work as a nutritionist. It is only a small part to it. And then you are so curious to meet wise people from different countries and collect that all. And I'm sure you will show us tonight and bring us yeah, close to all that knowledge that you have. And I'm so happy you're here. Thank you, Magda.
Oh, thank you so much, Nicole, for this beautiful introduction and just for the connection. And yes, I remember that workshop on the cycling woman so well. I actually just made a little note here that we can talk about that. We can talk about how we cycle post-menopause, because obviously that's part of being a woman. And we are always cycling in the rhythm of nature, and part of it is our bodies and our cycles. So yes, if you are all interested, then we can dive into that as well. But just thank you for the introduction. I'm absolutely honored to be here. I was just sharing earlier how I am just so looking forward to tonight, because I am able to offer a full spectrum of what I do. So integrating nutritional science with naturopathic medicine, traditional wisdom that I've learned all around the world and in Bali, but also psycho-spiritual practices. And yeah, this is a real treat for me as well. And I look forward to really sharing anything I know about perimenopause and menopause with you, beautiful goddesses, sisters. Yeah, so I can talk. Can I just ask how many of you, or who is still menstruating? So I know how many of you are in perimenopause and how many are in menopause. Okay, so yes. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so I can see that we have many sisters who are menstruating, who are, and are there any women who are postmenopause? No. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. So, okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. So, um, so I will talk in a way that will include everyone. And I think even if you are postmenopause and you have stopped menstruating, I think this will be very valuable as well, because it's really about reframing and redefining what perimenopause and menopause is, both from Western medicine perspective and also from other traditional medicine perspectives. And as you all are in the West, you probably are aware that when it comes to this menopausal transition, it is still not really well understood by most women. And women don't generally know why they have symptoms and why other women don't have the same symptoms or don't have any symptoms at all, and what can be done other than any sort of quick fixes to feel well and to just prevent this. So my work fills this gap. And I've begun a huge dive into perimenopause and menopause about 5 or 6 years ago, when I started feeling the first twinges of perimenopause. And it just has taken me on such a massive journey, both personally and as a medical practitioner. And oh, so I've got my notes. So tonight, I really would love to empower you. And Joy, I really loved your intentions for this evening and for this circle. And my personal intention is this empowerment, because I know from personal and also from my clinical experience that it is possible to have a smooth perimenopausal transition and to also thrive post-menopause, especially when we understand what menopause really is and why certain symptoms, both physical and psychological, come up. And you can really do this by making simple lifestyle and dietary changes, and also include a psycho-spiritual practice, which you all have. And so I will share with you practical and quite simple tools to help you prevent and minimize any symptoms and be well. Nicole will know that I really believe that we are not meant to be getting sicker with age. I think it's just a myth that keeps us in fear. So we can really address that and go beyond that. And this time, the perimenopause is also a time of a great spiritual, psycho-spiritual transformation in women's lives. It's really time of a challenge, which is offered to all women, and each one of us has to make a decision whether and how we go through it. So at the same time, it's really not about having no symptoms and feeling as if nothing has happened and that we are living exactly the same lives when we were in our 20s or 30s. It's more about observing what comes up and accepting the process and knowing how to be with it, and then emerge stronger and more authentic on the other side and throughout our life, because we can be even healthier and more authentic than we have been before. So I've got a lot of sharing, a lot of information, and I do plan to talk about it almost like a spiral. So I will be coming in and coming out, sometimes of very similar issues, but addressing them from different perspectives. And towards the end, I would love to guide you through quite a deep integration process to help you process it all and to complete the evening as well. So just to define menopause, the very misunderstood time of women's life, menopause, quite simply, according to Western medicine, is that final menstrual period. So they say if you have stopped menstruating for 12 months, that's when you are officially in menopause. So when we are talking about menopausal symptoms, we actually mean perimenopause. And that is a very natural process when women start skipping ovulation and the brain is changing. And sometimes it takes even 10 years. I've been personally in this for about 6 or 7 years, and I know there's still more to come. And in perimenopause, everything becomes amplified, just like in puberty. So any smaller issues get bigger and previous chronic conditions intensify. So the approach I would like to suggest and really encourage you to embrace is addressing the root cause of symptoms and addressing the whole person, because any symptoms that appear are simply your body's way of trying to tell you that something is out of balance physically. So it could be diet, nutrient levels, your lifestyle, environment. It could be gut health, the microbiome, the vaginal microbiome, even your dental health, but also emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically. So menopause for me is really an umbrella term for a natural process which each woman goes through in her own way. And very importantly, menopause is psychospiritual as well. My experience, and also talking to many of the women I work with, the real first symptom of menopause is sort of just sensing that something needs to change. And I had it myself, where I still remember one beautiful summer, I looked out of the window and I knew. And I had no other symptoms. I had no hot flashes. Nothing else was happening in the body. And that shift in hormones is literally knocking at the parts of the brain, the amygdala and the basal forebrain, where all the emotions from your past are stored, and it's so you can process them. And many women at this time in their lives feel that they need more meaning in their lives, that they realize that they may be in dead-end jobs or relationships that no longer fulfill them. And these are actually giving women actual physical symptoms. However, when these emotions or life challenges are worked with rather than suppressed, women are always able to reinvent themselves and heal. So it's really important not to suppress symptoms. And I do some face reading, Chinese face reading, and it's so fascinating to see there's a line here. So in Chinese medicine, there's like the river of life. And then if there's a line just below the nose, this should appear at around 49, 50 years of age. And if that line appears, it means that the woman may be a little bit unhappy with the process, that maybe she's not transitioning well. Because according to Chinese medicine, by the age of 50, you are not supposed to care any longer what others think of you. So there's that freedom from opinions of others and from the biological drive to procreate. So if there's a line just below the nose, and if that line gets more prominent, then it's so important to, through spiritual practice, through grief release and breath, release whatever you are holding. So breath for the conception of ideas, breath for oxygenating your entire body, breath for creativity, and holding that space that anything is possible. So long exhales, as we did in the beginning. And also singing would be really good. So if you're a singer, that would be really wonderful. And singing will also make your cheeks fuller. In Chinese medicine, when cheeks are a bit hollow, it means that you are still holding on to grief. So it's just really beautiful how the Chinese medicine really embraces that. According to Chinese medicine, there are life cycles every 7 years. There's a completion. And when there's the 7th 7-year cycle, we are 49th of age. And that's where the kidney essence lowers a little bit. But it's so important to remember it is not a deficiency. It's not like in Western medicine when doctors say it is a deficiency, we need to supplement. It just means that that energy from the kidney is being redirected to creativity and to self-cultivation and for a deeper connection to one's Shen, which is the spirit. However, as you know, in Western society and culture and medicine, there's this assumption that menopause is the end of everything, and that it is the time of rage and hot flushes and weight gain, and all the post-menopause health risks go through the roof. And so it sort of creates this thinking that women are victims of their biology, that we are victims of our hormones and genetics, and creates this kind of fear approach to aging and menopause. But then you probably are familiar with Bruce Lipton, who introduced epigenetics. And we know that even genetic expression can be totally changed by how we live our lives, by what we eat, but how we feel. And so we can, even if our mothers had terrible menopause at the age of 45 or 50, we can still live a very different life and we can do things better. And also it's really important to remember that some women have no symptoms at all. So for me, this Western medicine approach is a little bit too rigid. And I absolutely love the Jungian approach, because in Jungian psychology, menopause really marks the journey of individuation. And so we become whole with the W. So it's that process of becoming the most authentic self, no more defined by external roles, other people's expectations. It's really a call towards internal nourishment. And it's the gateway from the mother archetype to the wise woman or crone archetype. So we are authentic and wise and powerful. And that's when we can actually guide others through all these life's mysteries. In terms of just going back to the Western medicine, because that also has its place, I just wanted to redefine it and just give you an idea how to think about it if you are witnessing a lot of talk about hormones in your community. So in terms of the Western approach, there's this loss of progesterone, and that's usually the first sign, because women need to ovulate to make progesterone. So when we skip ovulation, that doesn't always happen. And then there's the anxiety, irregular periods, and so on. And then there's actually fluctuating estrogen. So when estrogen sometimes can be 3 times or 4 times higher than in your 20s. And that's why many women have this fireworks show when migraines, extremely heavy periods, menstrual flooding, when you just have to change your part all the time, even at night. And then estrogen gets lower. But again, I really want to emphasize, this is not a deficiency. It's absolutely normal. Just like we wouldn't say young girls are deficient in estrogen. It is a normal part of menopause. And actually, with lower estrogen, conditions such as fibroids and endometriosis can improve. And what I'm really interested in is about how hormones as well are not just physical hormones. They actually are energetic messengers which can navigate between different worlds. So they're almost like liquid light. And I'm doing a lot of research on it, really, to understand how it affects us spiritually as well. So really understanding menopause by only 2 hormones is actually not helpful. And it doesn't answer the question why some women don't have any symptoms or why the symptoms are different. And also the assumption that women post-menopause do not make hormones, it's not true, because estrogen and progesterone will be produced by the adrenal glands rather than ovaries. And even by every single organ in the body will be making estrogen, even the heart. So the heart is also an endocrine organ. And there are other hormones that are extremely important. And the most important ones are cortisol and insulin, I would say. So we really need to redefine what is involved, because when we understand that, then symptoms can be minimized and all the risks can be avoided and we can thrive. So to offer you, my #1 key strategy is to really balance blood sugar. And this is for everything, for your brain health, especially, because when estrogen lowers, so that decline in estrogen, it changes the brain. And the brain no longer is able to use glucose in the same way as it did. So the brain needs to get better at using ketones for energy. Otherwise, so if somebody is eating croissants for breakfast and white bread with marmalade, and white rice, then the brain will actually start eating itself, that myelin protection, to get source of ketones. And this is why so many women post-menopause develop brain conditions such as Alzheimer's and dementia. So it's, as you can see, it's very easily preventable. It's just about that shift in diet. So we need to change what we eat to more protein and fat. So ideally eating organic meat, some nuts and seeds, healthy fats, real complex carbohydrates, so vegetables and fruits in unlimited quantities, unless there's some health indication that you shouldn't be eating all these fruit and vegetables. But for most healthy women, this is fine. And lots of berries, and remove or limit as much as possible foods such as bread and pasta, rice, even brown rice, all fruit juices because they spike the blood sugar, alcohol, and sometimes oats could be excluded, and also grains such as amaranth or quinoa as well, because they can spike that insulin. So depending on what's happening with you, you may have to go a little bit deeper here. And basically women 40 plus, I would say, become more insulin resistant. And you may have noticed that in your own experience, how the foods you used to do in your 20s and 30s, they no longer serve you in your 40s or in your 50s. We just cannot eat the same foods as before and continue thriving. So when you notice a belly weight gain, and there's a Chinese saying, when you can no longer hold your stomach, you also can no longer hold your tongue, which I find very interesting. This is actually for perimenopause. So the belly gain is prevented with this dietary strategy that I just mentioned. And belly is because the fat cells are estrogenic. So there are all this plastic in our environment. So we need to really limit our plastic exposure from, and not just BPA. All kinds of plastics affect us and affect our hormones. But also the belly fat holds on to estrogen. All fat cells hold on to estrogen. So this is, if we are stressed, the body is going to put on weight just to hold on to that estrogen. But at the same time, we do not want to be skinny, because a complete loss of fat means loss of estrogen and also dry vaginas as well. So it's important to have a little bit like a healthy layer of fat on us. And muscle building is very important, because that creates more mitochondria, and then you actually are able to burn more fat. And also when women turn 40, we need to have purer foods. There's that alchemy. So the way we gain energy or extract chi from food and from breath, it's actually through that fire, the fire of joy of eating as well. So if you have a line between the eyes here, and you notice that throughout the day, it just tells you need to eat more mindfully. If why that line is a bit white, then maybe you are hypoglycemic. So just paying attention to your body. Eat something you love. And with people you love as well. In Western medicine, we would be talking about the hormone oxytocin, the hormone of love and calm. So you will know when your blood sugar is balanced, because you will have absolutely no symptoms after meals. You shouldn't feel sleepy or tired after meals, and there shouldn't be any cravings for any other foods. You should just feel fine, no longer hungry. So important to have protein and fat with every meal. And if you feel you may be eating too much or want to see where you are, then start with protein, because your body will send you a signal to eat until you've eaten enough protein. And very important as well, avoid all fruit juice fasts or any fruit juices, even freshly made. They're just quite challenging at this time for women. And in terms of hormones, we need to remember that adrenals are very important because they actually take over the production of hormones, and they also make cortisol and adrenaline. And cortisol is this goddess of hormones. And as you know, many women enter perimenopause and menopause already exhausted from motherhood. So many women I see have babies and then they never recover because it's just this postnatal depletion 10, 20 years later. And we actually need adrenals in top shape to thrive post-menopause. So symptoms of adrenals that are tired would be feeling run down, having trouble sleeping or waking up at midnight, the belly fat, because that's where the estrogen is going to be deposited, short fuse, coffee cravings. And when it's very low, there could be overreacting or crying spells. Salt cravings is a very big one, and lightheadedness. So my strategy to support your adrenals, the most important one is to eliminate stress. Stress is one of the biggest causes of any perimenopausal symptoms: hot flashes, hormonal imbalance, weight gain. So what can you do to weave more time for yourself in your day? Can you do yoga? Can you do circles such as this? Walking in nature is absolutely wonderful, and it really helps with sleep. Life is big and long, and most women need a lot of space at this time. And nutritionally, completely avoiding exerting yourself with coffee on empty stomach or intermittent fasting at this time or any long fasts. This will really help to nourish your adrenals if your adrenals are not in top shape, and just prioritize yourself. As many women, especially mothers, are number 3, 4 in their families. And what is really fascinating about the brain, and Western medicine acknowledges that well, is that brain actually is recalibrating at this time for many different reasons. But one reason is that the woman's brain changes from nurturing and wanting to nurture others to wanting to nurture yourself. So please pay attention to this. And sleep is another strategy to nourish yourself and adrenals, because you know that not much will shift even with the best food and supplements unless you go to bed early and sleep well every night. So sleep is number one for women. And I found that when I help someone sleep well, then a lot of issues just fall off because everything improves with sleep. Sleep restores and repairs the body and nourishes the adrenal glands. And you may know from your experience, if you have slept well, then you wake up in the morning feeling really great and feeling slim. According to Ayurveda and Chinese medicine, it's best to be in bed by 9:30. And that's because various organs start detoxifying by about 10:30. So it's not about sleeping 8 hours, it's allowing yourself to be deeply asleep by the time these organs begin their process of cleansing and repair. So the sleep hygiene I recommend is bedroom needs to be dark and maybe even cooler than the rest of your house. And there shouldn't be any electronics there. I would stop all blue light at least 2 hours prior to sleep. Perhaps wearing orange blue light blocking glasses. Orange, red blocks blue light more than transparent ones or yellow ones. And mothers definitely need some adult time. And if your husband snores, then that's a conversation to have at home. I sometimes use melatonin or California poppy. Chamomile tea is really wonderful for nourishing that nervous system. And warm bath with Epsom salts is wonderful. And Epsom salts are also able to cleanse and purify your energy from the day. And I also wanted to talk about the gut and digestion, because the microbiome, all the bacterial and yeast species in our guts, they actually play a massive role, not just for our digestion and immunity, but the microbiome itself is an endocrine organ. It makes progesterone and it makes all the 3 estrogen and promotes the level of estriol, which is E3. It's an estrogen which is protective and reduces all symptoms of menopause and prevents osteoarthritis, vaginal dryness, and even prevents breast cancers. So we really need to nourish that microbiome, not just with probiotics, because probiotics don't actually stay in the gut. And we also need to know what kind of species we need. It's a bit like there are different breed of dogs. So if you want a dog to guard your house, you may not want to get a poodle. You will get a more kind of, bigger, more scary type of dog. And it's the same with bacteria. They all have different roles to play inside our bodies. So eat fermented foods. That's probably the safest thing to do if you do not know what your microbiome looks like. And prebiotic foods. So again, all these foods with fiber, colorful vegetables and fruit, because it will feed the microbiome. And regular bowel movement at least once a day, because when you have a bowel movement, that reduces and removes toxins from your body, any excess hormones, all the waste, and any constipation basically creates an imbalance in the microbiome and leads to weight gain and all kinds of issues. So it's just so important to, maybe if there's an issue there, have bitters or drink more water, take magnesium. There's a lot of ways to optimize your digestion and elimination, depending on what is causing the constipation. But just very importantly, chewing well with presence. So not scrolling, not eating in front of your phone, eating with love, for that alchemy of transformation of food into chi that I mentioned earlier. Is not just about physical nutrients, and also not drinking with meals. So keep drinking at least half an hour away from meals. So that way you don't dilute the stomach acid, which is needed for digestion. And some people definitely benefit from support and enzymes. And any issues that has to have like a very personalized approach. And I want to talk about the vaginal health as well. This is very important, because the vagina actually changes with menopause. There could be anatomical changes, different sensations, and also microscopic changes. And what happens is that the vagina has its own microbiome, and it's not as diverse as the gut microbiome. It's more simple. It's mainly lactobacilli species, especially lactobacilli crispatus. And that microbiome changes when estrogen drops. So if there were any chronic issues before, then the lactobacilli may disappear. And also if you have taken antibiotics, if there's been any kind of treatment for any conditions like UTIs, then that microbiome is there to support you through menopause. And it's really important to talk about it. I've noticed that, and I know it's a little bit of a taboo area, and most women don't want to talk about it, and even don't tell doctors about it, because they also assume it's normal to have these kind of changes in menopause. But actually it's not, and it's absolutely fine to support your vagina as you go through the menopause and beyond. You just be mindful of your microbiome, and just make sure that you have lactobacilli species, and you can test for that. You can also test pH of the vagina, which should be 4 or more. And the hygiene, and I'm not talking about cleaning, but sort of hygiene in terms of how to look after your vaginal microbiome, is absolutely essential. So avoiding any chemical soaps. Water is just fine. avoiding laundry powders, not using any bath bombs or even KY jelly that can damage the microbiome and the epithelial cells. And if there are any issues, then it's important to look at that and also address that with the husband, because people can be passing different microbes from each other. And one thing that I've noticed actually in women who stop menstruating is that they're because they no longer have this fear of getting pregnant, so they don't use protection. And so just be mindful that, especially if it's a new partner or different partners, then all sorts of microbes could be coming in and affecting you. So just being mindful of that and knowing how important these lactobacilli species are. And in terms of any other symptoms, I really want to emphasize this is not about not having any symptoms, because we are not meant to be flatlining. We are meant to be cyclical and having fluctuating. It's really more about having that relationship with our body and that kind of awareness. And there is definitely a place for additional support if needed with botanicals or supplements or testing. But just being also mindful that, any symptoms like hot flashes may be telling you that maybe, you need to or that caffeine is no longer serving you. Or another very common one, women get these breast pains, and sometimes it's really just not having enough iodine, so fish and seafood in your diet, or seaweeds as well. So there's a lot that can be done. So that's been a lot of info, and I think you will agree that this approach is not like a magic pill approach, that's something that you just take and everything is fine. It's really about this a lifelong journey, and this is the approach which really says yes to this big challenge and accepts the call. And there are huge rewards as you go through it.
I love how you've just done that. You gave us such a concise, overall, overarching, holistic view of these interesting phases in life. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So would you like to, whatever, are you all happy to go through an integration process?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
We say yes just from the beginning. And then we do have a couple of questions in the chat.
Yes, sure.
If we do that afterwards, or should we answer the questions and then do the integration?
Well, let's do it maybe now, and then we can, if there are any comments afterwards, then maybe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. Take it away. Do you want the questions now? Did I miss something?
Yes, sorry. Shall I read the chat or?
I'll take the ones out that I think. So it's a question: how do we calm down the nervous system? Well, Sachiko, a lot of the things that we do here in the circle calm down your nervous system. The breath work. I love how you brought that, right? Breath work, that is also my number one tool for, getting back into balance. But what else? Maybe there are things that we haven't mentioned yet in our circle that you could give us advice on. What are your favorite tools to calm the nervous system?
Well, my favorite tool is, because everyone is so bio-individual, so one herb will work for one woman, but it will not work for another woman. So for instance, I love ashwagandha, but it doesn't work for everybody. There could be another herb, rhodiola, which is absolutely wonderful, but it really depends on why that nervous system is upregulated. Is the herb going to be enough? And so my favorite tool is actually getting to walk in nature, which everybody can do, even if it is something like half an hour a day. And also the way you get up in the mornings as well. So there's that sort of tendency, you know, especially in a busy life, to get up and to start doing things. But what if each one of us had a moment of 5 minutes just to go to the window and look at the sun and just take that in, just swallow almost that sun's energy and create intention for the day as well.
100% with you on that one. You talked about supporting the microbiome of the vagina by like excluding things like chemicals and all things.
Yeah.
Question, would cranberry help? I think
Cranberry is really wonderful for urinary tract infection. And basically what cranberry does is that it stops the pathogenic species from sticking to the bladder, inside the bladder. So that's what cranberry does. Not so much for the vagina. And with cranberry, if somebody is having chronic, you know, I've worked with women who had urinary tract infections for decades. And unless that immune system is also supported, so doing everything for your own body to work in balance, that is also essential. So cranberry for the bladder during an infection, but also immune support. And the vagina, more really avoiding these chemicals. Yeah. And also like organic bamboo or cotton underwear, and changing underwear every few months as well.
yeah, get rid of the
Really...
plastic out of your knickers. That's what I.
Yeah, oh God, yes, definitely, yes. Yes, and if you're menstruating, you know, using good quality, organic, unbleached menstrual products is quite important as well. Otherwise, so many things are going to sort of go in and affect that intimate health.
Absolutely. Thank you. I have one question for you that would interest me personally. How do you think that hormonal changes impact our intuition? And how can we harness this maybe heightened sensitivity as a strength?
Well, this is a very important question. And for me, hormones, as I've mentioned actually before, there are messengers, but they're also messengers not just to the different organs of the body, but to other realms in which we also live. And for me, hormones such as estrogen, that really keeps us bound in some ways. And it's not a negative comment at all, but that keeps us bound to relationships and the family duties. And my instinct and just what I'm seeing is that when that estrogen starts going up and down and then stays down a little bit, it sort of frees that a little bit from these relationships. So that really allows us to focus more on ourselves and really kind of give birth to this, you know, so from the physical fertility, move to that more spiritual fertility of the self. So there's definitely some kind of a release there.
Well, you also were saying that it's also the time where we really should have already let go of the desire to value the opinions of others and do our own thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that is a massive process. And it's really, as you know, I'm sure from your experience, it depends on the family circumstances of the woman and the work she is doing. And of course, everybody in the circle is doing a lot of self-development work and is on a big spiritual journey. So that will definitely help. And as you know, in our lives, we kind of, you know, sometimes come back to the same issue to look at it from different perspectives.
So
Yeah.
let's go into the integration. I think that was the most important part that I was still wanted to cover.
Oh,
so
yes.
let's
Okay.
do integrating all this wisdom. And in case I forget, thank you. Thank you so much, Magda.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. And so before I begin, I would just encourage each one of you to just because I've said a lot of things, and just, you know, there is recording available, and just allow it to percolate in you and take from it what is actually needed for you at this time in your life. Okay. So, okay. So let's imagine that we are in a shared virtual space, but let's imagine we are in a giant gold ball and we are all inside of it. And if you are watching this as a recording, then this includes you too. So just give yourself permission to be in this space and know that this space is the space of miracles, where we connect with our higher selves. And you are here because there's a message. So can you take deep breaths? And if you're listening to the recording, just imagine it's happening right now and you will access this. That's however it works, it will work. Feet on the ground and feel the earth's energy go right in. Feel the group. And give yourself permission to connect deeply with your higher self and to receive this integration. So now tune into your pre-perimenopausal self and just see your premenopausal self with love and gratitude for all the wisdom, for all the lessons that you have acquired. See her very clearly. She has gone through a lot and she has a lot of wisdom to offer you. And now holding that vision of yourself, tune into yourself now and tune into yourself. How do you see yourself in the future? So it may not be very clear, but she will come through. And you could be looking at both your pre-perimenopausal self and also your future postmenopausal self. And see your future self more clearly. What are you welcoming? Are you welcoming authenticity, more authenticity? Are you welcoming more creativity, perhaps, or more assertiveness? What qualities does she have? And at the same time, I want you to feel your heart space opening into a rose. And it's a beautiful rose with many petals, and you can see it growing and growing and growing. It's bigger than you. It's actually filling the whole space you are in, and it's including your pre-menopausal self and your postmenopausal self. And rose was the flower of creation of earth. Rose actually brings a lot of feminine wisdom, and it was here before earth solidified. So you're connecting to this ancient, to this cosmic flower, to this energy. So your heart is opening with the rose. And you can feel so much love towards your future self and so much love to your past self. And now see them coming together. And feel the love. You know the wisdom and you are connected. And just give yourself permission to receive anything that you are getting in this integration. Yeah. I can feel all the incredible energy. With feet still on the ground, on the floor. And with gratitude to yourself, to your future self, and for the transmission. You can open your eyes, and maybe if you feel so, please share how it was for you.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Magda. I'm going to bring you back into our circle so you're surrounded by us. How about everyone else? How was the rose? Did you feel those petals opening? Anyone here? This is a yes. This is a no. Yeah, someone here? Okay, you're still awake. Cool, cool, cool. I had a lot of fun seeing my future self, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And feeling that gratitude towards my past self. That was it's like a childhood, I don't know, regression with a future pacing all in one. I love that. Thank you. Aurélie is saying, oh, thank you, Magda. You're so inspiring. I love the transmission. Seeing my future self was great. Yeah, and also give those hopeful messages, right? Because I think a lot of our society's programming goes that, the older that you get, the more the problems become and the less fun life becomes. But that's so not true, is it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I completely agree. For me, it's the same. It's this, sorry, I'm a little bit with a cold. It's really this wanting to go forward. Like you said, it's this chance to really develop your very own ideas, and everything else can go. It can just go and just follow your intuition and be authentic and shameless. Like we have been working in that so great on these topics, and I love seeing every one of us doing that.
Yes,
Yeah.
she loves her future self too. She was so joyful, full of life and sensual. Yes, 100%. So Chico, thank you, Magda, Nicole, and Jai for this topic and the worldly view. Yeah, I love how you put it all together. Okay, well, it's exactly 8 p.m. Central European time. We did our hour of circling. It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was such a pleasure. It was a very condensed. I know I talked very fast. I was just trying to squeeze in as much as possible. And yeah.
How can we find you, Magda? If anyone has some more questions or wants to reach out to you.
Yeah, so please connect. I'm starting to get more active on social media, so please connect. If you feel like writing a testimonial, then please send it my way as well. I would be really grateful for that. And I just really hope this helped and has empowered you. There's always a choice and it's always a challenge for us women, and the rewards can be absolutely incredible. And as you say, this is our intuition, and being with other women actually can be so empowering as well in spaces such as this one. So yes, it's wonderful. I can feel it.
Thank you. Well, do come again, and maybe we'll see you in 3D sometime somewhere. That would be
That
awesome.
would be wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so
We're
much.
going to share this recording with all your links so people can connect with you in their own time and way. And yeah, onwards and upwards, ladies. I love you, and I wish you a beautiful evening or day or wherever you are right now. And yeah, see you again either tomorrow for the German Circle. If you want to just send me a message. If not, in about 2 weeks' time.
Okay.
Arrivederci. Thank
Lots
you.
of love to
Bye-bye.
everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.